Yeah, I wanted to do a quick video on debug symbols. I'm going to try to do shorter videos on things that are apparent or things that come up as I talk to people in my community or people, other developers. And one of them is debug symbols. What are they? What do we use them for? How do we export them? So really quick, how do you export them? Where do you go? As you saw me, I went to build settings. This is specifically for Android. So if you're doing a mobile Google Play game, or if you're doing VR headset for Meta. Most of the VR headsets are Android based, some are not, but for the most part, this is what you would use. You go in here, and if you have an older version of Unity, you'll probably have a checkbox here. It's the same thing. So I go in here, hit public, hit build. What happens when I build is that it'll create in here the APK and the zip folder. I then hit extract all. I go in here, and there's my library for the debug symbols. Okay, so what do you do with this? What's going on? So what happens is when the game crashes, you have a crash log, and that crash log generates references, computer code for references to where the crash is happening and why. They don't mean anything. They're not human readable, and so that's why we have debug symbols. And so the way you do it in Meta, and it's a similar way with Google Play Console, is you upload the zip file. But in here in Meta, you need to extract it. Then you choose the APK that you're going to upload. You go to next. And in here, you scroll down, and in here, debug symbol patterns. And it'll tell you what it's used for. And they should be .so or sim.so. So in here, debug symbols, right here, sorry. Go in that folder, and you hit upload. And and this is the language, so that was the wrong one. Sorry, clicked on the wrong one. So that's a good thing about this, is that it'll tell you when you're uploading in the wrong place. And here's the debug symbol. You hit upload, and okay, now where is that at? Okay, so once you upload it, you need to make sure, at least for Meta, that you have people playing your game. So as you upload it, it'll collect data, and it'll be maybe 1 day behind or 2. Sometimes Meta is a little bit slow, but let me check. I'll show you now where an example with Cactus Jam. So Cactus Jam, it doesn't have as many users. So this is a little bit of how you might see it in yours. So you go to Analytics, Crash. And here you have the crash logs. You can change the date. You can change all kinds of what type, platform. If you want to look for Quest 2 only, see if people are playing on Quest 2 or are more people on Quest 3 having errors. No errors. That's good. That's good too. See, there's less errors in Quest 3, but Quest 2 is having a lot. Okay, so we have 67 events, and that's over the last 28 days, which is pretty good. And you see the outlier that out of all these events, this one's probably 90% or a big percent of all the crash logs. And so what you see in here, you click on it and it'll show you more details on that specific event. And here you can scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the stack trace. And even though it's not human readable, you can kind of get some clues. It's almost like you're playing detective. And what you do is you kind of read some of these functions that are, see, there's audio stream. There's probably something with audio. You have a recorder, wait for mic state, recorder Android, start microphone. And then I noticed that it's live, and here lick recorder. So I know, because I know what's in the game is third-party assets usually also have most of the time issues. And what happens is if you upload Unity debug symbols, it'll give you what's going on with Unity errors. But sometimes you have these third-party assets, in this case, lick or live. Live is for us, we use it as a camera. It's a third-party asset that helps you record in-game. And so you can do selfie sticks or selfie cameras, and you record around, and you can do third person, first person. And so it has a camera that follows you and records you for that you can upload to YouTube and stuff. So it's really nice, but it has a bug. And so at this point, if I was really concerned about this, because most of the errors are coming from this asset, I would do one of two things. One, I would contact the developers of the asset and say, hey, I'm getting crash logs with your tool around it. So I believe there's something wrong. Do you want the logs? The other thing that you could do is say, hey, like they might say, oh, we're aware of it. Don't worry, it'll be fixed in the next update. Or they might need more information. Say, okay, can you upload? Can you give us the debug symbols for your asset? Because Unity doesn't have those. And so what would happen is you would upload your, you would add the .so files in here, but they have to give them to you. So they have to, just like you hit build and it creates the symbols for you, they have to make sure that they export debug symbols for their asset, and then they can give them to you. And then when the next time this happens and we upload a build, we will start seeing crashes that look less like computer code and more human readable. And we'll know maybe what then, like a null reference on this asset or whatever the debug symbols gives us information about. Okay, so that's why debug symbols are great for crash logs and figuring out what's going on with your game. Oftentimes, let's say we know this is happening and we already updated live, our third-party assets, and it was because of this issue. So they caught it before we did. And as you can see, once the update goes live, these numbers will go to 0, hopefully. And so we'll have to monitor that and see what's going on. Because there's other in here, this one's live too. It's just a different error. But once that live asset stops giving these errors, it's almost down, it'll take this down to even almost 0. And that's really nice. So that's why I wanted to do this, is because I've seen some people asking about what's the debug symbols, and I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of this feature and get used to it. Also, make sure that you're not, once you turn it on, that you want to be careful in Unity to not always build, because it takes longer to build. And so I would only do it once you are uploading a build that people are going to play. So usually I do it for beta, or sometimes I don't. If I'm in a hurry and I know I'm going to upload another build, I just upload the regular. But if you're debugging and you want some crash logs, and that beta or the alpha is going to be up for a while, and you maybe over the weekend, and a lot of people are playing your game, then you want to push it with that, and then so it's worth building. So it's up to you, but just be aware. Don't leave it on public, and because then it'll build the debug symbols every time you build. And once you build, it does get faster. So it's not a huge deal, but it does add a few seconds to the build once it's ready. So you could see in here, if I start building now, I add a different one. It'll build and it'll take a while, but it's not a huge difference. The first time takes a lot longer than the second time. If you have any questions about debug symbols or in any specific features, I will be doing more videos like these that are short and to the point, and then dive deep into that specific subject, because I want to keep it to one single aspect of development. So what problems are you having with your development process, with publishing, maybe marketing, or all these things that happen when you're trying to finish your game that kind of slow you down and you didn't realize this checkbox or this and other things. So please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really want help, make sure to participate by commenting. Let me know what's bugging you or what's troubling you right now with your game dev. How can I help you? Let's get your game done and actually have fun making these games.